Sensationally silver, because you are.
Welcome, everyone, to Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, conversations with extraordinary, ordinary persons of age, people who are going to bring you information, inspiration, and validation. Join us. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, conversations with extraordinary, ordinary persons of age, which only means they're not great big celebrities, international celebrities, but sometimes they're local celebrities. That's often the case. And I think that's probably very true for the person that is my guest this morning. Beth Amine was recommended to me by someone else who's been on the podcast, Jill Hires, who talked about how to choose a retirement facility for yourself. Mm-hmm. And she told me after we'd finished having the interview that she had this wonderful person I should definitely have on the podcast. And that's Beth, because Beth takes Joyous Movement to the place where Jill works, Marvilla, out in Goleta. Beautiful, beautiful facility. So welcome, Beth.
Well, thank you so much, Robin. I'm really pleased to be here. I'm so happy to meet you, and I can't wait to, have our conversation. And yes, Jill is extraordinary. She actually really did get me started on this one facet of what I do about 20 years ago, as she was a dance student of mine, and said, well, Beth, if you can get me out there dancing in public, and I'm the shyest person there is, she said, I wonder what you could do with my elders here, my people in the memory care. So that's how it got launched, that particular thing. So Jill has been very important in my life.
And isn't that the way it works? We give each other these wonderful ideas. So I'm assuming you're talking about belly dancing. Is that true?
No. Belly dancing was my initial form of movement. I performed for many, many decades. I still perform. I just performed at a wedding in Puerto Rico like a week ago. But it actually took a lot of knowledge that I gained from that particular art form, which has a lot of very distinctive benefits, and my performance and all my time entertaining. And I developed something new called Joyous Movement, where I use music from around the world, but I also use, and the belly dancing is a very full body thing. It's very gentle. So I use some of the ideas of enhancing everything in the body, from the toes to the neck to the fingertips, so nothing's left out. But I used a lot of music from around the world, music from people, whatever era they're in. I now go to many retirement communities, and there's a variety of ages. So I always play their favorite music, if it's Frank Sinatra or whatever from that generation that stimulates happiness. And then I use a lot of what I learned as an entertainer for so many, many years, which is how to engage people's energy and how to let them come out of themselves and be who they essentially are. And that's done with unspoken languages of the eyes, the heart, the hands. So it was something newly developed out of my history as a dance performer.
And Beth, I've got to back us up for a minute, because the first question I always ask everyone, but I forgot to ask you, is how old you are.
Oh, well, I turned 78 last week. 78.
And see,
pretty close to 80.
Well, I'm
still out there doing the whole thing.
And I get the feeling that you're proud of your age.
I am. It's a double-edged kind of sword, because yes, I feel like I'm an anomaly because of the certain habits and approaches. And because I have been an artist my whole life, it's always been about self-exploration. It's always been about growth. It's always been about the next identity. And that's how my work has been focused. But the double-edged thing is, then people, when they know, they kind of put you in, they prejudge you and they put you in a category. But for the most part, it's been wonderful, because everyone goes like, oh my gosh, I hear, I want to be you when I grow up a lot. So for the most part, it has been really inspirational for people to understand that there are, you can take many approaches if you really focus on a number of things that generate aliveness.
It makes me think of that wonderful quote from Gloria Steinem when she turned 40 and somebody said, "You don't look 40." And she said, "Yes, I do. This is what 40 looks like."
Exactly.
I mean, 40 doesn't look like 40 anymore. 80 doesn't look like 80 anymore. And
Yeah.
we don't have to do that to ourselves. If other people tend to do it, well, all right. But it's really what we do, how we see ourselves, that has everything to do with how we feel about life.
You're so right. And I think that that's one of the most challenging things because culturally and in all, there's a tremendous amount of external pressure on the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be on the scrap heap as a woman, not attractive. You're supposed to be decaying daily. You're supposed to be, I mean, this is just the kind of the cultural messages that swirl around us that you have to go, no, I can choose. So
And you demonstrate that we can choose,
yes,
that we can define ourselves and break out of any kind of idea somebody else has about where we belong. I hate to agree with you, but I think it's true, that scrap heap idea. That's such a rough word, but kind of like go over in the corner and be quiet. You've had
yes,
your turn and now we don't have any more to get from you.
yeah,
Well, that's so not true. We have so much to offer our
yes.
peers and people younger than we are.
Yes, we do. I mean, in many cultures, the elders were revered for their wisdom, and I do feel, I mean, that all my many years and my years of exploration and my years of interfacing with people, that I have learned some things, and I do have a sense of calm now that I didn't before. I'm not plagued by demons, and there is a certain something that has happened that I think is lovely to share. And so yes, our elders are something to be revered.
Yes, we're treasures. I want to tell my viewers and my listeners, when I called Beth and I was talking to her, I said something about having to ask her age. And I said something about how as we get older, we lose some of our, abilities. And she said, "I haven't." She said, I'm 78 and I can do everything I could ever do. And I'm beautiful. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Now there's self-esteem, folks. I love that. I thought, wow, this woman does not have any problems with confidence. And
Well, yeah.
sometimes we do because of those identities that people
Yes.
sort of put onto us.
It's truly true. Well, I've noticed that I have changed, but I'm not framing it in age at all. I was very driven my entire life and my entire career. So there was always this do more thing, accomplish another, write another book, put on another 10 shows, make another course, get more blah. And I find that I'm not putting it to getting older, but I'm finding that I savor a pace that allows me to stop and appreciate a cloud or a leaf, or I just love the depth of being able to really be in the moment. And I don't think I had that before. And I'm not putting it to like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do it anymore. But like, oh my God, I want to savor stuff. I don't need to be run by whatever was running me. It's kind of like, okay, accomplished a lot. I still want to do more. So there's that. Yeah. And it's interesting. My friend, my friend who's much younger, said to me on Saturday, he said, gosh, I just thought about it. You had an entire life before I was born. And I said, well, let's think about it. And I went, yeah, he was born in 71. I got 2 degrees from Berkeley in 68. I did the Summer of Love in Europe in 69. I came, I had to slow down and find out what my next thing was in 70 and arrived in Santa Barbara in 71. So I went, yeah, I never thought about it, but I guess I did have a whole life. And we've had lots of lives, that we have moved through. And I just think that's one of the beauties of it, is that our identity is forever refreshed. And if you focus on that, if you have the belief that you're done, you're one and done, then then that's it. But my birthday's the first day of spring every year, and I'm just all about renewal. Oh, wow, yay.
That's a great birthday. My daughter's birthday is on International Women's Day, which is also
Oh,
a great birthday.
that is a great, powerful birthday.
Yeah,
Yes, as
yeah,
well.
powerful days. Okay, tell us a little bit about some of what you have to offer at those retirement homes, for instance, because I'm assuming that you have that to offer all our viewers and all our listeners. What are some of the things that you teach and that you offer?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. Well, as far as Joyous Movement goes, what I'm looking at is I've developed because I can only go from the last 20 years, I've been doing it. I can only go to so many places and it's very local. Although I do have an online class that of Joyous Movement for essentially cognizant and fairly independent living seniors. I have that every week, and we can have the league through a company called the Loop Village that provides activities for seniors that are mostly at a good level of independence. But there's so many levels of our elders now that need to be served, including those who have extreme memory issues and so forth, that my programs adapt to all the seniors. And what I'm looking at now is training people to be me or to be an instructor in Joyous Movement. I have a training program, videos, workbook, and that's my direction with that because it's so simple, but it's not being done, these techniques. And I really want it spread everywhere. So that's one thing that you can join in. I'll be having a training at the end of April or early May. And I'd love to get squads across the country going into retirement communities and using their hearts and using music and really it's amazing the response that I get from people that don't ordinarily respond at all. And that's because, as I mentioned before, I was an entertainer. There's methods of engagement and methods of connection that you can use. And I use little theatrical toys. I got LED light up tambourines and all kinds of stuff. And there's so much life left in people. So that's one. I'd love to train people to have people join my training and really do this locally and nationally. So, and then I do have a book it's called Joyous Everyday Living, and it has my system of what I've done in order to the habits that I've generated in order to keep a refreshed identity and a refreshed life. And each chapter is a verb. It starts with move because I really do think that movement is essentially the most important physical movement. And you obviously are so beautiful and in such good shape that you are, you work with movement as well. That's our first one. The second chapter is nourish. How do you nourish yourself physically and on all levels? And the third chapter is called release, which is how do you perpetually align your thoughts to the positive when there's so much externally and internally that creates diminishing circumstance, diminishing thoughts. So, and it goes on and on like that. It's a system of 8 chapters. So that is a wonderful thing that you can get. It's on Amazon. It's called Joyous Everyday Living. And coming up soon, in fact, I'm going to have Piper and Robin let you know about it. I'm going to have a membership site where you can take my self-development classes that help you every day to live a life of joy. And I also have a podcast called Dancing with Time. And that's Dancing with Time means to me, I'm not young, I'm not old, I just am. It's an approach to life where you're constantly flowing. It's not that life is always perfect at all, but you have an ability to flow around negative circumstances or input and maintain resilience so that you're devoted to life in the now moment. So, and there's other things, but that's a good potpourri of some of the essentials.
This is such an interesting idea. I mean, I just pictured dancing and having it in my mind. I love to dance, having it in
Yes.
my mind that I am dancing around and away from anything negative,
Yes.
just leaving it behind.
Yes.
That movement, using
Yes.
movement to do that.
Yes.
It would be so fun. It would be like you're
Yes.
escaping
Yes.
over there and I get to go over here. Yeah.
That's
You're
it,
really
Robin.
good.
You got it. That you got it on such a deep level. I am so pleased and impressed, but that is it. You're dancing with time and life and the eternal and whatever you want to call it that we're made of. So I thank you so much. I'm so gratified that you got it.
Well, and I hope everybody who's watching this, and I hope you're watching because Beth is a joy to watch. If you see how much she moves, that's got to be connected. I mean, she can't talk without just
Okay.
doing it with her whole body. What a clue that is to how to stay vital, because we do tend to slow down and kind of crunch in as we get older. We do it when
Yes.
we walk, we do it when we sit. We just kind of collapse in some ways. And Beth's not doing that. She's moving, she's letting it all out there. And I mean, just even imitating her right now, it's so fun.
Oh,
It's
it's
so
fun.
good.
Thank you. Fun is the name of the game. Life is actually supposed to be fun, believe it or not. That's, in my essential belief, it's joy. If you can attune to that, no matter what, not that it's easy all the time, but if you have a belief that's its essential nature, it aligns you a little bit more. And we do all tend, that's the nature of life. You get coatings and you get layers, and there's this constant like renewal process that has to go on to keep fresh. And it really is just mimicking nature. Nature does that. It casts off its leaves in the fall and then it rests and then it starts again. And that's one of my main premises of the workshops I do. I have one called Who Am I Now, which has to do with this kind of perpetual evolution of identity. You're constantly casting off old identities of who you are or who you thought you had to be and creating fresh ones that come from your deep internal core. So you hit on that as well. You're so perceptive. You're a really good
Well,
interviewer.
I listen hard.
You
I
listen
try to,
hard, yeah.
yeah, I try to hear what people are saying. And I like that idea too, that we aren't just the sum of our past. We have options now that
Yeah,
we didn't used to have. And you
yes,
talked about that, Beth, about being able to just not be in a rush, not feel that push to achieve, but more just do it at a pace that's right for you now, that
yes,
involves more close-up discovery of what's around you. And we do have that option. Most of us are freed from having to make a living at this point. And even if we still do, it's not quite as big a part of the picture as it once was.
yes,
So we have more time, more options, more choices, or just basically some choices that we never have had until now.
yes,
Yeah. And so to make that part of our identity, look at the freedom I have now. Look at the
yes,
options I have now rather than look at what I've lost, look at what I can't do anymore. Look at who's
yes,
gone, who's not in
yes.
life anymore. The children have left. I've lost some friends, whatever. Can you give us some of the pieces of that chapter you have on discovering who we are now and what that means?
Yes, it's all, I think the chapters are all essentially about that, but I did mention this one course that I developed called Who Am I Now, where I go through another sequence. I don't know why it's always 8 of processes, and I start with the question of value, like it's really big, and we never think about that. Like, how do I value myself, or what do I value? And we go through processes like that. And one of the main tenets is that we're often taught that we're not enough. So there's that lack. We're taught to be referenced by lack. And that's what you just were saying. Oh, I don't have this anymore. I don't have that anymore. This is gone. And so our vibration becomes one of what we don't have, and that is not the vibration of the fluidity or the abundance or the aliveness of what you can have. So I think that whole thing starts with value. Like, how do I value myself? Am I enough? Am I worthy of everything? It's a big question for us because we're often taught we're not enough. And so it starts there. And then once you realize, oh, it's okay. I can folk I've had that and that's good, but it's a guidepost. What I don't have is a guidepost to what I would like. It's not the total reality. It isn't. It's what's been. And it's generous in showing me what I'd like. Okay, I don't have that many friends anymore. How can I make some new friends? Or how can I fill that space with books or whatever, or hang gliding? I don't know, whatever is new. So these are the things that I ponder in this thing called Who Am I Now? It's a course, it's aside from the book, but it has its whole workbook that makes us realize that fresh identities are the essence of living a life, joyous life.
And also, I think something that we are free to explore if we choose to, and I highly recommend it, is what can we offer the world? And you were talking
Yes.
about that,
Yes.
giving to the world.
Yes.
And I remember my mother in her late 70s, she always wanted attention, but she had tremendous stage fright. And somehow she got through that when she became in her 70s, a person who was willing to go out. She used to play the piano in retirement homes.
Wow.
She also did it. She lived in this little community and there was a little bar, and she'd go down and do what she called her gigs in the bar. And she'd play the piano they had there. And that was a breakthrough for her. She
Yes.
got to be the performer she wanted to be, that her own self consciousness had kept her from doing for so long. So some of that may have changed without us even knowing it. And we can re explore that. Like you're saying, who am I now? What do I want now? What can I do now that I want to do?
Yes, and it's so true. And I think that's chapter 4 of my book, after move, nourish, release, it's join, is that we are tribal animals. And when we show up or join groups or socialize, that also extends your longevity. And that's one of the things about my Joyous Movement trainings, is that when it's an opportunity to give, and when it's renewing, like when you give and when you show up and when you kind of cross that barrier, that stage into another space. So you're totally right. It's very, very important. And it doesn't mean you can do it in any way you want. You can join a book club. I tend to like being in front of people, and for a lot of people, that's very liberating, like for your mom. So, good, brilliant point again. Yes.
Yeah. So we get to have fun and we get to find out what's fun now,
Yeah.
explore that.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you some personal questions now.
Okay. I'm ready.
Um, Beth, tell me about your proudest moment in your life.
Oh, I don't know, maybe having my daughter. I mean, I've been a devoted artist for over 50 years, every day to the arts. And at some point, I was in my early 40s. I just went, well, maybe I should pay attention to my basic humanity and be, and be a mom, a mother. And so I think that she's like a masterpiece. She's so incredible, and I I can't say enough for what it did for me to have to open up in those ways and learn to nurture and learn to help someone grow and not have a lot of the pitfalls that I had to go through myself. So what an interesting question. I guess that would be it. If I'll think of, maybe if I can think of some more. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any regrets?
Oh God, no. Oh, well, okay. Maybe one.
That's pretty good if you only have one.
I have one. When I got here in 1971, my mom said, "Oh, Beth, why don't we get you a couple of houses, which were like 35 or $40,000, because then, it would really help you. in the future. And I was an artist. She knew that. And I said, "Oh, Mom, I'm an artist. I can't take care of houses when I'm focusing on, dancing and painting." And so I think that would possibly be my only regret in my life.
Yeah.
Like, So, but I did what I did, so I can't even regret that. It's not like I don't have everything now, and I do have a house, so.
What do you see yourself looking forward to?
Oh gosh. Oh, more freedom. Thank you for asking me that. Just more freedom. Freedom, freedom. I'd like to self-care which I have done a lot, but I mean to the extent of my most uh my biggest ability. I've put my attention a lot on other people and their not their happiness, but on methodology for other people and interacting with them and throwing what I call parties, which means everybody is having a good time together. Right now, I look forward to really taking care of myself at a very delicate level without, like I said, without the rushing, at a very detailed level. And I'm looking forward to the freedom of travel, the freedom of people running my business so that I have more time and more resources. And just the, just like I'm able now to savor the moment more than I have been because I'm so appreciative of being alive and the freedom of that, like, oh, look at that color. So I'm savoring the liberation of my body, mind, and spirit to an extent to which I have uh maybe I'm upgrading to that it gets more expansive than it's ever been.
Wow.
As I hope that's a lot of words, but
But it makes sense, to just regard ourselves as precious.
yes.
And this body of ours, sometimes it's easy to focus, especially as we get older, easier to focus on what isn't working and kind of seeing the body as an enemy, oh, my leg, my this, my hip, whatever. And one of the things I learned when I had some serious problems with my knee, because I was doing all that, I was treating my
Yeah.
body as the enemy, very angry. And I learned to regard my body, and for me, it's always animals, as a horse.
Oh,
If that leg didn't work, you don't drive the horse on this leg that doesn't work. You are as kind and as nurturing and as helpful and healing as you can be toward this package that we're in, which is an animal. This part of us
yeah.
is an animal.
It's
And it
so
responds the
true.
way animals do. It responds well to kindness and not well at all to harshness or criticism or anger. So that was a wonderful discovery for me. It was one of the great gifts of having
Wow.
that knee not work, to learn to be friends with my body, to cherish it, to praise it, to be grateful for everything it can do, and just see it lovingly, regard it lovingly.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And it's so true. And it's so the appreciation is something that is extremely important. It puts you in a very high vibration. And that the body, I know we're taught not to love it. We're taught to beat it into submission. And it really doesn't like that at all. And I think that's one of the things I learned early on with the belly dancing. It's from another culture. It's from another time. It's from a very ancient time when women were more present on the planet. It's a very ancient dance form, and it's nurturing to the body, and it has none of that Western mentality of no pain, no gain. That doesn't exist in that paradigm, and that's a very Western thing. And I think that's one reason why I haven't been injured as many dancers do who do modern dance or a lot of the more strenuous dances that do create injuries. This was a very nurturing, feminine um, approach to the body. And I think I learned a lot from that. But what you're saying is so true for so many of us. And then it's that value thing. How do I value myself? Back to that. No, I get the most love. And for women, that's like, are you kidding me? I don't get the first love or the most love. So that's really another leap of courage to take that stance.
Yeah, we can make this a very small circle instead of waiting for it to come from the outside. We can generate that love for ourselves. Just
Yes,
turn it
we
right back and
can.
take it from the heart and turn it right back in to our whole being so that we don't have to be starved if nobody's around to say nice things or to hug us or, just make us feel good. We have the power to do that for ourselves. And
Yes.
it's imperative that we do, all of us, men and women. We need to love and appreciate ourselves.
Oh, it's at the basis. You're so right, Robin. And self-care has so many levels to it. And it's at the basis of loving anyone else or having a loving life. And we're taught that that's selfish, but it really is quite the opposite. It's like you have the well here that then when the well is full, it flows to others rather than emptying the well all the time and then having nothing here. So
Yeah,
you
emptying
just,
it and hoping you're going to get it back.
yes,
And if you
yes.
don't, it's very scary. So sometimes affection and love are really generated through fear. But if we can make that small circle from our heart to our whole being and encase ourselves in that kind of appreciation, then we don't have to be fearful that if someone else goes away, we'll disappear. We won't have any worth or
Yes.
any meaning because we're coming from a full place and we
Oh,
keep that filled. That's so different from coming from a fearful place. Don't leave me. I read
oh,
somewhere, let me see if I can get this quote
yeah.
right, that and it just isn't a happy one. It was when a person says I love you, they're really saying I want to control you. Oh, I think that sometimes is true. Don't
That's
leave me. Do what I want. Make me feel good. And when that isn't happening, oh, then I'm not loved. You don't love me. But we can
yes.
always be loved. We can always,
Yes.
yeah.
And I've even heard that when you say you love someone, it's not about them, it's about the love. If you're able to feel the love inside yourself, and that's what the real love is. So they're almost immaterial. It's not that they're provoking this love out of you, it's that it's the love inside of you that you have that feels so good that you're then able to give. Those are very profound points that you bring up. And yeah, good
Maybe,
stuff.
maybe when we say I love you, we're really saying I love the way you make me feel.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
so wise. It's so perfectly it.
And we can do
Yes.
that for ourselves.
And we can do that for ourselves. And then remember, we have to go back to that conversation that we had about lack. We train ourselves that lack is the reality. Like, oh, if you're gone, I'm in a state of lack. I have no love. I'm not loved. But it isn't. Love is abundant. It's all here. So you can always, but I have to practice this a lot. Like, oh, that didn't feel good. Oh, because I'm living in the lack of that. Let's see, how can I shift that to the abundance of it or the feel good thing of it? And we have to. I have to train my. I'm not a master. I just have to make sure that I notice, like, oh, I'm in a state of lack. That doesn't feel so good. Let's see, how can I turn that to something? And then but then you're based it in self-love, self-care, and self-value, which is a practice.
I had a thought this morning and I wonder how well I'm going to be able to follow through on this.
Okay.
It was about training myself
Hmm.
because I think we all need to train ourselves every day in this sort of thing. It's not automatic. But training myself to say things in a positive way rather than a negative way, no matter what they're about. Just make it a positive statement. Get rid of the don'ts and the can'ts and the
Hmm.
won'ts and the shouldn'ts
Hmm.
and say things positively.
Hmm.
That's such a metaphysical principle. The more positive our thinking and the more well, the more positive our thinking, the more positive our life is, the more rewarding our life is. The more negative our thinking and the more negative what we pay attention to is, that's going to fill our life with things that we really don't want. So yeah,
it's the law of the universe where you focus your attention. We're creative beings, where you focus your attention is where you're going to create more of. And where so I'm all about in any posts that I do on social media or anything I write, I will never have a negative word or a negative message. And actually, I'm having a conversation with someone who is doing some marketing with me about it, because traditional marketing, you have to define the pain or the need, and in order to present what you have offered in order to make it better. But I can't, I am so trained in my being, I cannot do that. And so I have to frame everything from positive language. Wouldn't you like more of? And
yeah,
wouldn't you like more of this? And have you, would you like more joy in your life? Do you love those feelings? Would you like more of them instead of, oh, are you feeling like, you said betrayed by your body? Are you feeling, no hope or what it, blah, all that kind of stuff. So anyway. Yes, I'm in
so
complete agreement.
what I want you to do now,
Yeah,
because we're going to need to say goodbye, is I
yeah.
want you to just give a message to all of our viewers, all of our listeners. What do you want to say to people?
Oh gosh, let me just see what comes out. Life is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. Make it so. Attune yourself to the joy that's always present. Live, laugh, love, think wonderful things, explore life without limits, and just allow yourself to savor every second of this mystical thing, to live life in a body on this extraordinarily beautiful planet with so much love, and focus on the love that's here for you and for everyone.
Thank you, Beth. That is beautiful. So, all of you who are watching, who are listening, you can take that into your day and make it a part of your experience. We've had this wonderful guest showing us how to live life fully. And that's so much part of what this podcast is all about. All right. Thank you, Beth. And we'll see all of you next time.
And thank you, Robin. You were a delight.
Oh, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Sensationally Silver, A State of Mind, is sponsored by Sensationally Silver, a complete hair care product line created especially for people with hair like ours, naturally gray and white hair. Sensationally Silver products can be found exclusively at sensationallysilver.com.
Sensationally silver, because you are.